Yeah,
I will admit I do like the new intro music. I think it's pretty snappy.
that's an upgrade.
It is
I
an
keep
upgrade.
meaning, yeah, I do what I can when I can, and then I every week I swear it's always the same. If I worked that week by Friday, I spend the evening kind of starting to think about maybe ideas about what I'm doing for time I have on the weekend. And I wake up Saturday morning and I'm just starting to catch up when it's really time to go. And I'm still recovering from fiat land and I'm not up to speed on what just happened this week in the world of Bitcoin. Even as I try to keep up, I just am like in transition. So
Yeah. Oh yeah.
this channel, I'll make little improvements and then I'll be like, oh, I need to do that. Yeah, I really should promote that. Oh, I could improve that. And after we do this podcast Saturday, sometimes on Sunday, I dig into that again. And then by
Oh.
Monday, it's just back to like, hey, did you hear about the latest dramatic crisis that don't really matter about much?
Yep.
Oh, tell me more.
Hi ho. Hi ho. It's off to work week. Yeah, it's fuck fiat world, dude. Like I just fucking hate it. Uh join the chat. I can't join the chat because it wants me to sign in with my YouTube or something. Whatever. I'll keep it in. I'll keep it in comments. Let's see if anybody shows up today. Is Travis coming? Did you reach out to him?
I haven't heard from Travis. He may or may not join us. Paula was aiming to join us, but I think she's actually kind of busy.
Oh yeah.
And she still kind of works in fiat herself, like
Oh really?
Weekday or when she can, or has.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
she's super nice. Have you been on her pod yet?
I have not, but I've watched hers, and I watched yours on hers.
Oh
which,
yeah.
yeah, that was I actually we could talk about that, but because was it her who towards the end she kind of got into the spirit, how Bitcoin moved you in a spiritual way, which I titled this episode "Know Thyself" because it's something I've you actually presented this question to me, which not that I haven't thought about it, but I have to stop and think about it sometimes, especially when when my world is more framed around Bitcoin ideas. I'm in Seattle right now. I lived here for years. I moved away. Haven't been back here for like 25 years. There you go, Seattle Mariners. We're going to a baseball game tomorrow, and so I was trouncing around, just driving around a couple of places I used to visit and live and hang out, and it hit me like what kind of person I was back then when I was 20 years old. No, 22 years old. And who I thought I was then. and how sure I was about a lot of things in my world and how wrong I was in so many ways. And I'm here now looking at it with that perspective going, I enjoyed a lot about this. And I also was so naive to so many things. Am I still like I don't I've made improvement. I have wisdom, but I have to stop and think like, do I still know who I am now? Maybe I know myself more. But you've had these thoughts.
Well, dude, I can share with absolute clarity that when I was 22 years old, I was a complete psychopath, right? Like, I mean, I probably diagnosable, And I had this thought the other morning. I kind of woke up and like there's something about like I'll wake up at 5 in the morning and go, oh, here's like my brilliant tweet of the day or whatever, and then I'll just jot something down, and half the time I don't post it anyway. But as I was sort of sitting there reflecting on it, like, and it was partly the tweet I put out the other day that was like, if the inability to, or like, what did I say? I can't even fucking remember now. It was something about like, let me see my profile because I only do like 3 tweets a day or 3 tweets a week now.
Like self-reflection kind of.
Oh yeah, sensitivity of feedback is negatively correlated with success in life.
Mm-hmm.
And I remembered I wrote that because like when I was 22, the follow-on I was going to put to that was like people that are successful are either egomaniacal bullies that get lucky, or they are people that have the ability to accept feedback. But there's no middle ground, right? Like there's no people that can't accept feedback and become successful, but don't just bully people into accepting their blind spot, right? And I think I was one of those bullies. Like I was one of those people that would just bully people into accepting my fucking delusions, you know? And
Mhm.
but the thing is that you also have to be able to deliver, right? Like you can bully your way through being, immune to feedback, but you also have to be able to perform on some level, right? And so
Mhm.
the places where I wasn't performant, I would get shuffled off pretty quick. The thing I realized is like everybody but me could see my shortcomings, and that was the problem, right? Like everybody could see right through every little insecurity I had, every little like blustery response I had. And they could tell if I was getting triggered just by the way I'd react, right? Like they go, "Hey man, you might consider doing, like you're threading that tape. I know what I'm doing." Blah, 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 blah. They go like, "Oh, you can't accept feedback. Okay, I'll just let you live in your delusions because it's so much easier to deal with people like me when it's just like, yeah, just let them do whatever the fuck he wants. Like they don't care. It doesn't affect them at all, right? But what it relegated me to was about a 15-year span of like my entire reality occurred between my ears. Like I was not interacting with the world realistically. I was only interacting with the world based on my delusional beliefs and my abilities and who I think I am and all this kind of stuff. But it was all, rooted in like we were talking about a couple weeks ago. It's like it's all trauma and protecting yourself from trauma, protecting yourself from harm, and they're maladaptive strategies, right? But
Yeah. And when you're young, you're inherently, you don't have the confidence based on experience yet. You're probably a little insecure, and you want to protect that. You want to protect your ego so you can armor up or deflect back. And um, yeah, you go ahead.
no, it's
I
fine.
relate. I relate.
Yeah, well, I mean, but as an adult, like it's the hardest thing in the world for me was that moment when I was like, oh, I'm not any of these things that I think, right? Like I used to walk around going like thinking I was some sort of tough guy, And speaking of 22, it was right around 22. Like I've been in like a few fist fights in like middle school and high school, but fist fights are, like it was generally me being some sort of fucking asshole and some guy getting pissed about it, and then me feeling like a victim because he was lashing out, right? And so and it's not like I was some sort of skilled fighter. I knew anything about fighting. And so there's a term for it in prison. It's called selling wolf tickets, right? Where you walk around and go, hey, what are you fucking, blah, 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 like you're puffed up and thinking you're all badass. But the second the fists start flying, like you're incompetent, right? And I didn't realize how incompetent I was at fighting. And
Mm-hmm.
so these guys were actually starting something with me. Like I legitimately, for once in my life, wasn't like the instigator of something. These guys were mouthing off. And I got out of the car and I was like, what's the problem? Blah, blah, blah. And thinking I'm all tough guy. And then I got the living shit beat out of me, dude. Like I got my teeth kicked in. I got ganged up on by the thing was there's these three kind of kids. They're probably 17, 18 years old. I was 21, 22, somewhere around there. But what I didn't realize is they had like an entire parking lot full of friends right across the street that I didn't see. So I'm sitting there sort of lipping off to these guys. They're lipping off to me. And then one of them tried to kick me. And I just sort of jumped in the fray and started swinging at him, right? But what I didn't realize is when I looked up, because they were kind of all three of them sort of pounced on me. My buddy jumped out and tried to help me. But I looked up and my friend was off duking it out with one of these kids in the parking lot. And all I see is like this crowd of like 15, 20 people just charging me. And I was just like,
Uh-oh.
oh, I literally froze, dude. Like I ran out of tools in my toolbox, right? Because I go, oh, I've never been approached by an angry mob before. I don't know what to do here. And some people have a natural inclination to go, oh, this is a good time to fucking run. I had the natural inclination to go, oh, this is a good time to cover up. And then I just got fucking slammed by these guys, right? I mean, they just absolutely beat the living shit out of me. I ended up in the hospital. So, but it was a stark lesson. The problem was I didn't take the lesson. I didn't take the lesson as like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. I shouldn't be going around getting in fist fights. I shouldn't be going around blustering like I'm some sort of tough guy. I took it as like I need to armor up more, like I need to learn how to fight. I need to learn how to do it. It's just like the complete opposite reaction of what needed to occur was some self-reflection. And instead it became like more of, digging into my ego, so I don't
Yeah.
know, man. It's such a sticky wicket to try and uncork some of that stuff. But it wasn't until I was like 35 where I just went, oh, I don't know any of this shit. Like, Everything I think about myself is a lie. I need to start from first principles and figure out who I am. And that was a catastrophic experience. It took like 10 or 15 years to overcome that reset, that sort of ego reset, and actually become a real person. So I don't know. I don't recommend it to anybody. Sometimes it's better to just live in the matrix and live in the reality between your ears. But for me, I
Yeah.
go, my life now is, I think, a lot healthier from the experience. It just sucked for the last 15 years.
Having like ego death experiences, it sounds harsh and it's hard, and perhaps it's better to experience those a little bit as bumps on the path along the way instead of just riding on it like I'm fine, and then having a huge crushing one where you're really maybe drifting. But variously, I think whether it's gradually or suddenly, it's like important work to be doing, whether that's an ego psychological level or some kind of a spiritual level. I've been there. I was rarely ever like in a real fight, but my defense was to generally I was kind of the avoid and retreat type.
Mm,
My aggressiveness would be more of like kind of a passive aggressiveness.
mm,
Um, but going through life, I would well, so sometimes I wouldn't be aware of what how I was at times, but then I'd see things in my as I was more of like a manager, I'd see things in my employees that would get to me, and I'd be like, I just need you to make like you talk about listening. Listening is so key in terms of communication and like, do we understand what's going on here? And so something happens, a mistake or whatever, not a big deal, and I'd point it out to say an employee, and oftentimes when they were younger, it'd be well, here's why. And I'm like, okay, well, that's okay, I understand. So I just want to make sure we know how to do it. Yeah, yeah, but this happened,
right.
and then or well, I was thinking this and I was thinking that, and that's why I did it and all this stuff. And it's like that's okay, you're okay. But I mean, from experience, I my experience is that like unless I kind of hear from you that you understand what needs to change, I don't trust necessarily that this isn't going to happen again and again. And there's always going to be another excuse. Well,
Right.
but yes, but yeah, but yes, but so anyway, I'd have interactions with my staff, my employees, or sometimes peers like that, and I'd realize, I do this sometimes too. Um, um, my own ego grapples with like not wanting to be wrong, um, like or like a kid, it's like, fine, it won't happen again, and you're
Right.
like, okay,
All right. But do
yeah,
you know why we're having this discussion?
yeah,
It won't
change
happen
is hard.
again. Why are you bullying me?
Losing a fight is probably a real good way to confront that directly because you're impacted physically
Mm,
and you have to stop as you maybe heal from injury to go, what just happened? How did
yeah.
that happen? Who am
Well,
I?
that was the scary thing about it, is it didn't fix my ego, right? Like I still had it. It was just made me more traumatized, right? So it sort of entrenched the ongoing problem even more. It made me feel like more of a victim in all interactions. It made me more hostile. It made me more aggressive. So it was problematic on a number of fronts. But similar to you, like I would have interactions with people, and now when I look back on it, I go, man, people were giving me some really gentle feedback, and I would just like shut them down. I'd be like, and it wouldn't even necessarily be aggressive. I would just reasons, excuses, no accountability, right? And it almost didn't matter what the feedback was. I think you're tying your shoes wrong. Well, I've been tying my shoes for. I only did this because I was like, my fucking whatever. My friend in sixth grade taught me how to tie my shoes this way, and that's why I do that. Nothing to do, like no accountability about like, hey, maybe there's a better way to do that, right? Like I just couldn't hear it, couldn't do it, couldn't accept it. And so like when I started talking, I've talked to people throughout the years, and I go like, there's this sort of radical acceptance thing that I adopted when I was
Mm-hmm.
35,
I've heard of that. Mm-hmm.
where I just kind of, and people like, I think the hippies misinterpret it to like radically accept who someone is without ever addressing themselves. I radically accepted the other direction where I go, whatever you're saying is probably a valid feedback. And what I learned was like hostile feedback is the most sincere feedback you're ever going to get.
Thank you for watching this video. This is just a short clip from our full episode. So if you'd like to enjoy more entertaining wisdom found in our podcasts in their full context, just click a link in the corner. We are always sharing our big ideas on Bitcoin Liberty Live.